Good afternoon from my part of the world. It might be morning for you or evening, depending on the time you would watch the replay. So, a good day. How have you been? How has the week been? We used to say, thank God it's Friday, and so some of us got busier even over the weekends and realized that it's no more thank God it's Friday, but thank God for every day. Let's have a conversation. I chanced upon a video today and my comment itself struck an argument, a conversation that I just passed. What was important was I got the privilege to express my opinion. Whatever they do with it is their business too. And that is the idea for this video. When we get it all wrong, because we think loyalty is supposed to be from the lesser to the higher. Because you are the higher, that's what you are telling the lesser. And so the lesser also becomes the higher. To me, it's exploitation. True loyalty is not supposed to be a bondage. So what do you do when loyalty keeps you stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you out? What do you do when loyalty keeps you stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you out long time ago? I always say sometimes you think you're very sensible when you are sitting at the other edge and you are interrogating someone else's choices, decisions, and you think you would have done better if you were in that situation. Wait until you walk in somebody else's shoe. And then once you are wearing the person's shoe, you would have the moral, the spiritual right to understand the angle the person was coming from. Yeah. So what do you do when loyalty keeps you stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you out long time ago? Especially those of us, you try influence into loyalty, who will prefer to die in there than for us to say no, no more and never again. Loyalty is not supposed to be a bondage. There is no mentorship when you get destroyed, when you live a miserable life, all in the name of loyalty. Loyalty is a give and take. It's not supposed to just be from a lesser whatever we got that mindset from, a lesser to the higher. The higher also has a role to play in the lesser's life. So it becomes a game, a tool for manipulation, exploitation. And so the lesser is also on his or her feet in a position where a position of power or control, and he or she also start teaching that loyalty is from you to me. Loyalty. For everybody you expect loyalty from, you would have to be loyal to that person too. Go to me anyway. Loyalty is one of the most beautiful human virtues. Don't get me wrong. Loyalty is one of the most beautiful human virtues. Yesterday, somebody sent me a video. I think it's a Nigerian film, but just a small part of it, where a lady was being sent to, I won't say prison because it was the police that arrested her, and the friend, the people you call besties, said, I want to go with her. And the police said, you haven't committed any crime, so you can't go. And lo and behold, she had to hit the police officer in order for her to be arrested too. It sounds funny, right? But I see these things and I learn from them. Those are the kind of people we can call besties. The people who give you a handkerchief to wipe your tears without them asking what you did, what happened to you. It is after you've wiped your tears, now they can sit down and find out what did you do. Not the people who judge you publicly and they come privately to you and they are all over you, but publicly they can't defend you in any way. They are dangerous humans. Loyalty is supposed to go both ways. Don't expect loyalty from people. You can't be loyal to them and loyal with them. That makes you a manipulator. You are just exploiting people because they have good hearts. So loyalty is one of the most beautiful human virtues. I get it, I know it, and I love it. That's a mark of integrity, consistency, and devotion, but it should go both ways. Loyalty is the glue that holds relationships, friendships, and communities together. No relationship can be meaningful. You can't build any meaningful connection with someone when you can't be loyal with the person. But in our part of the world, that we think loyalty is supposed to be from a certain people to the others, but the others have no role to fuel that loyalty. That is wrong. That is manipulation. That is exploitation. And it wouldn't wash with everybody and anybody. You might think the person is disloyal. No. Common sense is applicable to every human being. So loyalty is one of the most beautiful human virtues. A mark of integrity, consistency, and devotion. It is the glue that holds relationships, friendships, and communities together. To be loyal is to stay true, to stand by someone or something through thick and thin. But what happens when loyalty, instead of elevating you, begins to imprison you? What happens? What happens when loyalty begins to imprison you instead of elevating you? What happens when your heart's commitment blinds your mind's clarity? That's what you Juma, because your heart wants it a particular way. So even if you hurt your future, yeah, you are in there. And you think that is loyalty. No, that's not. I say every every barrier you have, every boundary you've set all your life would have to come down crashing just because you want to be with something, support something, even when it's not for you. When your heart's commitment blinds your mind's clarity, when you know something is not for you, but your heart still wants it, for the approval, for the belonging, for the attachment, and yet you know this won't help, it would hurt your future. What do you do? What do you do when loyalty keeps you stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you out of a long time ago? What do you do? In the comment section, let me hear from you. What will you do? Or what are you doing? Or what should one do when loyalty keeps him or her stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you or should have gotten them out of a long time ago? The truth is, loyalty becomes dangerous when it loses balance. Loyalty becomes dangerous when it loses balance. But in our part of the world, that's the kind of loyalty we are teaching, preaching, educating, and we think is normal. It is no more normal for the inquiry brings. Loyalty becomes dangerous when it loses balance, when it stops being a strength and starts becoming a burden. when it stops being a strength and starts becoming a burden. Loyalty is supposed to be a strength, but when it stops being a strength and starts becoming a burden, it is dangerous because it can destroy your life. Many people mistake endurance for loyalty and self sacrifice for love. I don't know where we got it wrong, but it has become an aspect of us that we are blocked. And in so doing, many other people exploit others, manipulate others because they have a loyal heart. Many people mistake endurance for loyalty and self sacrifice for love. They convince themselves that staying, even when it hurts, even when it destroys, even when there is no future in there for you, still proves their faithfulness. But in reality, sometimes the bravest act of loyalty is just walking away. It's just saying, this is not for me. It's just saying, this used to be for me, but it can never serve me on who I am becoming. The bravest act of loyalty is walking away, not from the person or cause, but from the pain that is destroying your peace and your sense of worth. Not from the person or cause, but from the pain that is destroying your peace and your sense of self. In my book, Getting Married and Staying Married, I penned that God hasn't given another soul's life. God hasn't given anyone's life to another soul to make it miserable. You are not a victim when you think somebody else is making your life miserable. You have given them the go ahead. And it's the same applicable in any scenario of loyalty, regardless of who is explaining, preaching, or teaching it. Sometimes the bravest act of loyalty is walking away, not from the person or cause, but from the pain that is destroying your peace and sense of self. We live in a world that glorifies perseverance. We are told to hold on with all the cliches. Winners never quit and quitters never win. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Everything is not for everyone. You can endure to your last breath and it will still not add meaning to your life because you are not supposed to have been there in the first place. And along the line, your soul will come back beckoning, getting the awareness that you don't belong here. That has nothing to do with loyalty and disloyalty. We get into things when we don't even know who we are or who we were. And a lot of people stay stuck in there because they never discover their purpose, they never discover their path, they never discover what they want to use their lives to do. Should you discover yours too and still stay stuck in there, how would you become who you were ordained to be? To hold on to pain and to bitterness and to resentment, you will lose your sense of self. And it wouldn't matter where you belonged. As long as you lose your providential way, you have lost it in this life. So we live in a world that glorifies perseverance. We are told to hold on, stay committed, and never give up. And sometimes the question is, never give up on what exactly? What are you holding on to? What are you staying committed for or committed in? What are you being committed to? Not every situation deserves your endurance. Mhm. Not every situation deserves your endurance. There are relationships that thrive on your silence. jobs that depend on your fear, and friendships that exist only because you refuse to confront the truth. And they will enjoy as long as you are naive and ignorant in there. Ebimu nyaa anka w'ani ante sɛ onipa wɔ asase wei so. That is one thing nobody will tell you. Ebimu nyaa anka w'ani ante, w'ani anna hɔ, w'ani amma wo ho so say you deserve better and you belong better. So they exploit you as long as you allow them. How, how is a relationship supposed to thrive on your silence? What happens to your sense of self? Your silence because you have to endure every gibberishness, things thrown at you, and you still have to endure. And that makes you loyal. No, that doesn't make you loyal. That makes you something else I can't say. You're quiet. I can't say it. That doesn't make you loyal. It makes you something else I can't say here. Jobs that depend on your fear put so much fear in you as if you never own your life and live without them. So you know you deserve more, and yet you are stuck in there, and your soul is bleeding. When there are dissonance between body, soul, and spirit, you know you've outgrown the place, and you are still stuck because you are afraid. Because you refuse to confront the truth. As long as you stay naive and ignorant, that relationship will thrive. That job will go on beautifully, and yet your soul is bleeding, and no one cares. Is that loyalty? Is loyalty a bondage? Sometimes what you call loyalty is really fear of change, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of starting over. So you know deep down that that has nothing to do with loyalty, but you've branded it to justify your inability to confront your fears. But you see, you can deceive the whole world, but you can never deceive your soul. What you call loyalty, many a time is really fear. Fear of change, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of starting over. It has nothing to do with loyalty. It is because you're afraid to own your life and live. Afraid of the unknown. So then let me settle for this. So we the beba. Anytime you get into a place in life that will be bibi sabia, know there's a life you haven't lived yet. And that has nothing to do with loyalty. Some people would thrive as long as you are ignorant and naive. And don't count that as loyalty. It has nothing to do with loyalty. It is our ignorance and our naivety at play. And they feed on that to exploit and manipulate us. It has nothing to do with loyalty. So sometimes what we call loyalty is really fear of change, fear of being misunderstood, and fear of starting over. But you see, your soul will always come back to you, Francis, that this is not the life you are supposed to live, that you deserve better, that you can do better, that you are made for more. So go after more. But you get stuck because you are afraid of change. You are afraid to be misunderstood, and you're afraid of starting over. And you want to consider that a loyalty. It has nothing to do with loyalty. It has nothing. Research indicates that it's only 1% that live in this life. The rest of us, why are we here? And what are we doing here? Do they have two heads? No. It is because they take some bold decisions. It is because they don't get naive and ignorant forever. When I was a child, I spoke, I acted, I behaved like a child. Now that I am of age, and ignorance and naivety have fallen off, am I still supposed to live like an ignorant person? then I'll disappoint God, I'll disappoint the universe, and I'll disappoint nature. So many of the things we do out of loyalty has nothing to do with loyalty. It is simply because we are afraid of change. We are afraid of being misunderstood. And we are afraid of starting over. Common sense, that quiet, rational voice inside you, often sees the truth long before your heart is ready to accept it. That quiet, rational voice inside you often sees the truth long before your heart is ready to accept it. It tells you when something no longer feels right. It doesn't matter whether that thing used to be right for you, whether it used to be right to you, and whether it used to be right with you. At a particular time, if it's no more right for you, common sense will speak to you. It sees the truth long before your heart is ready to accept it. It tells you when something no longer feels right. It whispers what your value, when your it whispers to you what your value is. It whispers that your value is being compromised. It beckons to your heart that there is more layers you would have to unfold, uncover, discover. It warns you that staying might cost you more than living ever will. It warns you that mediocrity will cost you more than owning your life and becoming a higher version of yourself. Yet loyalty often argues with it, saying, "But I owe them," or "They were there for me once," or "Maybe things will change," or "Maybe I don't have to do anything. Things will just change by themselves." And so you stay. You get stuck in dysfunctionality, not because you're happy, not because you enjoy it, not because it has anything to do with your purpose, but because you feel obligated. Because you just feel obligated. But here's the hard truth. The hard truth that is taking some people, a great chunk of their lives to discover. And that is genuine loyalty should never require you to betray yourself. Should I repeat? Genuine loyalty should never require you to betray yourself. If remaining loyal means losing your peace, your confidence, your boundaries, or your sanity, then it's no longer loyalty. It is bondage. Are you with me? If remaining loyal means losing your peace, your confidence, your boundaries, or your sanity, then it's no longer loyalty. It is bondage. True loyalty uplifts. It does not suffocate. True loyalty uplifts. It does not suffocate. It allows growth, not guilt. True loyalty uplifts, not drain. It does not suffocate. It does not drain. It allows growth, not guilt. There comes a time in life when you must choose wisdom over sentiment. There comes a time in this life when you must choose wisdom over sentiment. You must ask yourself, am I staying out of love or out of fear? Am I loyal to this person, this cause, this place, or this situation? Or am I loyal to my own growth and peace? Because maturity sometimes demands that you redefine what loyalty means to you. Maturity sometimes demands that you define or redefine what loyalty means to you. And in case nobody has told you, it is okay to outgrow what once fit you. It is okay to outgrow what once fit you. It is okay to say, I've done my part and walk away without bitterness. It is okay to acknowledge that your loyalty has run its course. And now it's time for you to be loyal to yourself. The world might call you selfish, but it is in fact self-respect. Do you know why your soul is bleeding? Because you've allowed everybody and anybody to just exploit and manipulate you in this life when you know you deserve better. You've allowed just anybody and everybody, anyone, to just manipulate and exploit you in this life when you know you deserve better. It is okay to acknowledge that your loyalty has run its course. And now it's time for you to be loyal to yourself. Let the world call you selfish. It is not selfish. It is in fact self-respect. Without self-respect, you would always be exploited, manipulated, and disrespected. Remember, loyalty is a virtue only when it aligns with truth. Loyalty is a virtue only when it aligns with truth. If you must silence your voice to stay loyal, you are no longer being faithful. You are being controlled. If you must silence your voice to stay loyal, you are no longer being faithful. You are being controlled. If you must shrink yourself to keep peace, you are not preserving love. You are losing yourself. Your mental health will come knocking at your door very soon. If you must shrink yourself just to keep peace, when your soul is bleeding and yet no, your mental health will come knocking at your door very soon. And don't forget that there's a thin line between mental health that is 100% and mental health that is affected. So if you must shrink yourself to keep peace all the time, no compromise, nobody considers you, nobody considers your feelings, your thoughts, your welfare, your well-being. You are the one that's always have to compromise. Your mental health will come knocking at your door very soon. That is no loyalty. That is bondage. You are not preserving love. You are losing yourself. You are losing yourself. And if you must constantly justify why you are still holding on, it is probably time to let go. So what do you do when loyalty keeps you stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you out of? What do you do when loyalty keeps you stuck in situations that common sense should have gotten you out of long time ago? Number one, you listen to your peace. You honor your discernment. You give yourself permission to walk away, not out of spite, but out of self-awareness. And one thing you haven't realized, if you outgrow a place, a situation, the universe itself will throw you out. When you outgrow any place, any situation, the universe itself will push you out, will push you to the higher level. You give yourself permission to walk away, not out of spite, but out of self-awareness. You remind yourself that loyalty should be mutual, not one-sided. You learn that walking away doesn't make you disloyal. It makes you wise enough to know that your well-being matters too. Should I repeat? You learn that walking away doesn't make you disloyal. It makes you wise enough to know that your well-being matters too. Your well-being matters too. True loyalty starts with being loyal to your own soul. So when you see people who think they are so loyal to the core and they can't be loyal to their souls, they are fake. That is why they can't stay loyal in the long haul, because they were just pretending. True loyalty starts with being loyal to your soul, your own soul. That is when you be able to decipher disloyalty when it's coming from far away. That is when you be able to pour into situations and places and people that equally pour into you. Not when you run from empty. Not when you try to fit into places that you have to pour, even from your emptiness, because you are not fueled back. True loyalty starts with being loyal to your own soul. If you can't be loyal to your own soul, you don't know what loyalty means. When you choose yourself, your peace, your growth, your clarity, you would realize that the kind of loyalty that cost you your sanity was never worth keeping in the first place. Should I repeat? True loyalty starts with being loyal to your own soul. When you choose yourself, when you choose your peace, your growth, your clarity, you would then realize that the kind of loyalty that cost you your sanity was never worth keeping in the first place. When the heart's commitment binds or blinds the mind's clarity. You see, the heart is very powerful. The heart, the human heart, is very powerful. It gives meaning to experiences, depth to our relationships, and warmth to our humanity. That is why you can endure a lot of pain, because your heart still wants you to accept it as normal. And as long as your heart says it's normal, so you would stay in there and feel normal over time. It feels before it thinks, and in its innocence, it believes that love, loyalty, and good intentions can heal anything. The human heart gives meaning to our experiences, depth to our relationships, and warmth to our humanity. Before you think, the heart has already felt. And in that innocence, it believes that love, loyalty, and good intentions can heal anything. Oh, don't worry. I know I'm broken, but if they love me right, I'll be able to heal. Nobody's going to love you right. You would have to love yourself right. If I'm extremely loyal to them, they would also choose me and be loyal to me. It is not in their nature to be loyal. They are just exploiting and manipulating you. They can never be loyal to you. They only feed on your ignorance and naivety. They wish you would never be enlightened, because as long as you stay naive and ignorant, it profits them a lot. The heart believes that love, loyalty, and good intentions can heal anything. Good intentions are not enough. Sometimes that same heart that gives us life also becomes the reason we lose balance. That same heart that gives us life becomes the same reason we lose balance. Because when the heart's commitment blinds the mind's clarity, we begin to hold on to things that wisdom would have told us to release long time ago. When the heart's commitment blinds the mind's clarity, we begin to hold on to things that wisdom would have told us to let go, release long time ago. There is a thin line between commitment and captivity. Commitment is healthy when it's mutual, when it's purposeful and aligned with growth. Commitment is healthy when it is mutual, purposeful, and aligned with growth. But when it becomes one sided, when it keeps you tied to situations that drain your peace or rob you of your dignity, it is no longer noble. It is no longer noble. It is no longer noble. Commitment is only healthy when it is mutual, purposeful, and aligned with growth. But when it becomes one sided, when it keeps you tied to situations and circumstances that drain your peace or rob you of your dignity, it is no longer noble. It becomes self betrayal. When it keeps you tired or tied, it keeps you tied. When it keeps you so drained, when it keeps you tired, when it keeps you tied to situations that drain your peace or rob you of your dignity, is no longer noble. It keeps you so bent out, so tired, and tied to situations that drain your peace or rob you of your dignity. It is no longer noble. It becomes self betrayal. The tragedy is that many people don't recognize the difference until they are deeply entangled. They mistake suffering for loyalty, pain for proof of love, and endurance for strength. When you mistake suffering for loyalty, pain for proof of love, and endurance for strength, you lose it. You lose it. When the heart leads without the guidance of the mind, emotions override reason. And you know, when emotions are high, logic, reasoning just gets low. So you feel stuck, not because any devil is after you, but because you don't understand what loyalty is and what it is not. When the heart leads without guidance of the mind, emotions override reason. You begin to excuse behavior you once said you would never tolerate. You begin to excuse behaviors you once said you would never tolerate. You justify toxicity in the name of patience. Toxicity in the name of patience when your soul is bleeding. You convince yourself that holding on makes you faithful, when in reality, it's making you smaller. It's making you lose yourself. The mind sees clearly what the heart refuses to accept. But you silence that inner voice because it speaks a truth you are not ready to face. Your mind, your soul will always come back beckoning. knocking at the window of your heart, your conscience telling you that Abba, it would come clearly because he sees what the heart refuses to accept. But you silence that inner voice because he speaks a truth you are not ready to face. The heart says maybe they will change, maybe the situation will get better. And the mind whispers, they already showed you who they are. The heart pleads, I can't let go. I've invested too much. And the mind encounters, but at what cost? At what cost? We don't have the luxury of time in this life as we think. Udiagra, you waste your life away. Ubesaya basa, you age as if you are your grandmother's sibling. Yare bia be fa be crowd keke. Because you endure so much dysfunctionality that now your soul is just quiet and watching your body. So now there's a battle between your heart and your mind. And this battle between heart and mind is one of life's most painful internal wars. Life's most painful internal wars. It is a struggle between desire and discernment, between what you want to believe and what you actually know. And many a time, that's why I tell people knowledge is not enough. It is the applied knowledge that is power. What don't we know? But what do we use that knowledge to do? What don't we know? What don't we know? How many of us don't know we deserve a better life? How are we working with the knowledge and the information we have to make our lives better? How many of us don't know that we have to live healthily? Because if you don't, it doesn't matter how powerful our spirits are, our body will give up on us. How many of us don't know? And yet, do we live healthy lifestyles? The struggle between desire and discernment, between what you want to believe and what you actually know, what your heart wants to accept and what your mind is telling you about your reality, about what you're supposed to do. And often, the longer you stay in that conflict, the more you lose touch with yourself. And sometimes people stay in this kind of dysfunctionality for a long time that their body and their minds now begin to normalize them. Nti wote akyi a wo yam hyehyɛ wo kwa, they won't get it. They won't get it. And once they have the courage to say, this is not for me, then you turn around and you want to judge them, whereby your life also needs to work too. Why is it easier for us to judge people when there is so much work to be done on us? When our heart's commitment blinds our mind's clarity, we start to compromise pieces of our identity. When your heart's commitment blinds your mind's clarity, you start to compromise pieces of your identity. Nti ebe wiase na nneɛma nka wompɛ, nneɛma nka wongye ndi sɛ wode w'abrabɔ bɛyɛ, then you start seeing them as normal. You can endure everything and anything, and your soul is just there, giving up on you by the day, watching you, and yet you accept dysfunctionality as the normal way to go. You downplay your needs, you rationalize the unacceptable and you find yourself living in denial, hoping your endurance will somehow transform the situation. It wouldn't. Denial doesn't heal. Denial doesn't heal. It only delays the truth. Denial doesn't heal. It only delays the truth. True love, true loyalty, true commitment, true what again? Put it in the comment section. Should never require you to abandon your clarity. They should never demand that you silence your intuition or betray your peace. Healthy relationships, whether personal, professional, or spiritual, should never ask you to sacrifice your sense of worth. Healthy relationships, functional relationships, godly relationships, whether personal, professional, or spiritual, will never ask you to sacrifice your sense of self in order to maintain them. So anytime you find yourself losing your sense of self, know that relationship, that situation is not godly. Nothing glorifying God is in there for you. The right people, the right environments would align with both your heart and your mind, not one at the expense of the other. The right people, the right environments would align with both your heart and your mind, not one at the expense of the other. So, what do you do when your heart has led you too far? When you realize you've stayed in a place that common sense would have led you out, you begin by forgiving yourself. You begin by forgiving yourself. Because love makes us human, and humans make mistakes. You don't need to shame yourself for feeling deeply. You only need to learn to feel wisely. Then you start to realign, gather the pieces of your life. And this is where a lot of people get bitter. So everything they are doing, they are coming from the angle of bitterness. Bitterness will destroy you. Unforgiveness will destroy you. It would hinder you from becoming who you were made to be, your truest and authentic self. You start listening to that quiet voice of reason that has been there all along. The one reminding you that peace is not found in holding on to what hurts, but in having the courage to let it go. I've said some deep things here. What do you do when your heart has led you too far? When you've stayed in dysfunctionality for a long time, that you've lost touch on your sense of self. When you realize you've stayed in a place that common sense should have led you out a long time ago, you begin by forgiving yourself. Because love makes us human, and humans make mistakes. You don't need to shame yourself for feeling deeply. It is not your shame. It is those who exploited you and manipulated you. It is their shame. But at least now you would feel wisely, not just deeply, but wisely. Then you start to realign. You start listening to the quiet voice of wisdom, the voice of reason that has been in you all this while. The one reminding you that peace is not found in holding on to what hurts. Peace is not found in holding on to what destroys you. Peace is not found in holding on to what makes you lose your sense of self. There is no peace in that. So you start listening to that quiet voice of reason that's been speaking to you all this while, but you never had the courage to listen. The one reminding you that peace is not found in holding on to what is destroying you, but in having the courage to let go. Letting go doesn't mean you no longer care. It means you've chosen clarity over confusion, growth over guilt, and self respect over fear. It means you've learned that the heart may be strong, but it needs the mind to stay grounded. Yeah, the heart may be strong, but it needs the mind to stay grounded, because the heart alone can lead us astray, all of us. It can blind your sense of judgment, and you waste your life away making poor decisions and uninformed choices because it's just your heart. The God who gave us the heart equally gave us the mind, the brains. So what are we talking about? In time, you see that balance is the key. The heart feels, but the mind guides. The heart feels, but the mind guides. The heart connects, but the mind protects. When they work together, life becomes healthy, purpose becomes clear, and peace becomes possible. In time, once you start living on that alignment, in time, you will see that balance is the key. You understand that the heart feels, but the mind guides. The heart connects, but the mind protects. When the heart and the mind work together, love becomes healthy. Your relationship thrives. Your relationships thrive beautifully. Love becomes healthy. Purpose becomes clear. And peace becomes possible. So when your heart's commitment blind your mind's clarity, please don't rush to prove your loyalty. When your heart's commitment blinds your mind's clarity, please don't rush to prove your loyalty. Pause and ask yourself, is my love helping me grow, or is it keeping me stuck? Is my love helping me grow, or is it keeping me stuck? Because real love, whether for a person, a dream, or a cause, will never demand that you lose yourself to keep it active. When your heart's commitment blinds your mind's clarity, please don't rush. Please and please again, don't rush to prove your loyalty. Just pause and ask yourself, is my love helping me grow? Is my loyalty making me grow, making me become who I'm supposed to be? Or is it keeping me stuck? Because real love, whether for a person, a dream, or a cause, will never demand that you lose yourself to keep it alive. And when you finally allow your heart to feel and your mind to see at the same time, simultaneously, when you finally, when eventually, when you learn to allow your heart to feel and your mind to see at the same time, you will discover the kind of peace that comes only from being both wise and whole. Should I repeat? When you finally Allow your heart to feel and your mind to see at the same time. You will discover the kind of peace that comes solely from being both wise and whole. You don't just have to be wise, you need to be whole too. So when your heart's commitment blinds your mind's clarity and you begin to confuse endurance with purpose and pain with proof of love, please pause. Please pause and ask yourself, what is the growth in here for me? If not, you start making excuses for things that once would have disturbed your peace. And in time, they would become normal to your heart. You tell yourself it's just a phase, that things will get better, that people will change, all because your heart is attached to an outcome your mind already knows is unlikely. Your emotions become louder than your logic. You start to reason with your feelings instead of reality. You overlook red flags in the name of compassion, silence your instincts in the name of understanding, and call it being loyal or being patient. But the truth is, you're simply holding on to what your heart desires, even when your mind has already seen the truth and it knows where it would end. When this happens, you slowly begin to lose yourself. You lose sleep, you lose peace, and you lose confidence. You start questioning your own judgment. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I just need to try harder. Maybe I need to please them more. Maybe I have to sacrifice them more. Maybe I have to. You shrink yourself to make room for situations or people, causes who should no longer have access to you. You see, the tragedy of being heart blinded is that it often feels noble. It feels like you are being strong, kind, or forgiving. But true strength isn't found in how long you can stay. It is knowing when something is not for you. Because the longer you let your heart lead without the guidance of your mind, the further you drift from truth. And truth is what ultimately sets you free. So understand that clarity is love's compass. It helps you see where the heart is leading you astray. Clarity is love's compass. It helps you see where the heart is leading you astray. It reminds you that love and logic are not enemies. Love and logic, loyalty and logic, loyalty and common sense, loyalty and reasoning are not enemies. They are partners. The heart feels, but the mind sees. And if you want to live wisely, you must learn to let both work together. So when your heart's commitment begins to cloud your mind's clarity, please pause. Pause. Just like I said, just pause. Don't complicate your life the more. Just pause. Breathe. Step back and ask yourself, is this right for me? Or because I'm afraid to let go? That single question can save you from years of unnecessary pain. That single question can save you from years of unnecessary pain. Because at the end of the day, real love, real loyalty, real connection, none of it demands that you lose your clarity. The right people, the right choices, the right paths, they would never require you to go blind to what is true. Because when love is right, It aligns with both your heart and your mind. When loyalty is right, it fuels you. It aligns with both your heart and your mind, not one at the expense of the other. When loyalty is right, it aligns with your truth, with your heart and mind, not one-sided at the expense of the other. Not your heart when your mind is asking you to be careful. Loyalty is not bondage. Loyalty is not bondage. Until I come your way again, in my next video, I say much love and blessings.